Alrighty, welcome back to the Movie Well Marathon. I'm Andrew.
And I'm Mac.
Yeah, and we're starting a new marathon today, which I am super excited about. This is probably my favorite one so far. I can't wait to get into it. I'm gonna try. You're gonna have to keep me honest because
Okay.
I'm gonna
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna rant. I'm so excited. I'm
Okay.
gonna I'm gonna talk too much. You're gonna have to stop me. But yes, we're
This may
doing.
not be great then, just simply because I stopped taking notes about halfway through because I just wanted to watch it.
Oh, okay, I was gonna say, wait a minute, wait a minute. Well, anyway, yes, we're on Jurassic Park, 1993, starring, of course, Sam Neill, Jeff Goldblum, Laura Dern, but also Richard Attenborough, B.D. Wong, Ariana Richards as Lex Murphy, and Joseph Mazzello as Tim Murphy, Wayne Knight, Samuel L. Jackson, Bob Peck as Robert Muldoon, and Martin Ferrero as Donald Gennaro. Those are our main groups of guys there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, where to start? I love this movie so much. This is like it
It's
might be
good.
it might be my top 5. It's definitely top 10 favorite movies ever of all time ever. I can't get enough of this movie. I
It's
love it.
so much about it is good. Like every scene is interesting. The themes are introduced early but elaborated on as they go throughout. There's both concerns about the progression of technology
Mm.
and just
Mhm.
the threat of the natural world, and somehow the two of them are interrelated in
Mhm.
this film. And yet at the same time we also love the dinosaurs. We still like the dinosaurs even though they're technically kind of the antagonists of this film.
Right, but they're
It's
also the
great.
victims.
Yes, it's so cool. All right, maybe we should start at the beginning.
Yes. Oh, okay. Where should we start? Where exactly do we start? Um
Opening
uh
shot is cool.
Opening shot is
They,
cool. Yes, with
yeah, they
the with
establish a lot of the contradictory elements really quickly. With the,
mhm.
it's a monster shot with the monster in the trees, but then you flash over and there's just a blue collar worker and a labeled hat, just
Mhm.
watching it,
Yeah.
not phased.
It's very mysterious in a way for if you don't know like what's
Mhm.
going on, which is fun. Um and then cutting from that to the lawyer in the
Yeah.
jungle is always great. And seeing them excuse me, like I guess mining for amber is always kind of cool. Like I do
Mhm.
wonder if anyone was able to like pick up on what was going on if they hadn't read the book and they hadn't seen it before. Like, oh, why are they mining for amber? What is that about? Like, I wonder if anyone picked up on that. Um, I know that technically speaking, at this point, especially like 30 years later, that's not like a viable idea. But man, what a cool idea to like going back to the book and then bringing it into the movie and all the idea of getting dino DNA from bugs and
Mhm.
fossilized tree sap. That's
Mhm.
that's hardcore cool, man. That is so
Yeah.
good. That is such a clever idea. And they don't make it clear in the movie, but I think it's like loosely implied a little bit. That's how they also get the plants. Because at one point, we're skipping ahead just a little bit. Ellie
Mhm.
has that plant, right? And she's like, "This is an
Right.
extinct plant," and the movie's always like never takes the second to actually elaborate on where they get dino plants. Like, it's because the big genetic power of the movie is cloning, and so they're just
Right.
cloning everything. They clone the plants, they clone the dinosaurs. So just bits and pieces of plants that are fossilized in amber or stuck in amber. That's how they did that. Um, so just that's just such a fun idea, such a fun idea.
Mhm.
And they're also
And I
taking.
love that they made it visually relevant through most of the film by
Mm,
putting it on Hammond's
I
cane. Like
love the
that,
cane.
and it speaks to so many things about the character, as well as keeping your attention on the fact that all of this was because humanity found a mosquito with a bit of blood in it, and they were able to take that information and turn it into a dinosaur theme park.
Hmm.
And then those dinosaurs eat them.
Yep.
Amazing.
Yep.
Amazing.
So amazing. I love our intro to our main characters. I love Dr. Grant. I love Ellie Sattler. They're
Hmm.
wonderful.
Hmm.
Sam Neill and Laura Dern. They're great, of course. I really,
I
really,
love,
really.
okay, it's essentially not important, but I love that Dr. Grant continually insists on comparing every dinosaur he meets to a bird and how they might
Yes.
have like turned into birds. And then even the end shot of the film is
Yes.
birds flying away with them, like
Hmm.
how you like get away from that era. It's really funny and interesting that that's the one thing that like we're gonna make this guy talk almost exclusively about his theory that no one else is gonna back him up in this world on that dinosaurs became birds. And then he talks a lot about, he even in the beginning describes how they would be more bird-like than reptilian. And yet when we see the dinosaurs, and this franchise in general has been known for creating our image culturally of scaly dinosaurs, reptilian, amphibian style kind of dinosaurs. And I don't know how I feel about that. I can't tell if it's contradiction or if that's perfect for the film itself, because the fact that they use frog DNA ends up being a problem for them later, right? So there's a lot of stuff to that. It's cool.
There is some fun back and forth with that in a way, because it is cool to see him discussing that. But by the time Jurassic Park came out, we already knew a great deal more about dinosaurs than maybe what they're portraying in the movie. Like, we as like the world of science knew that very likely even T-Rex had like downy feathers on it. We knew like there's so much that we already knew. So they're making some fun choices about them being
bird-like, and still cinematically they're like, we need them to be scaly dinosaurs.
Well, skipping ahead just for a second, I won't harp on it. I really do like that they addressed that in Jurassic World, just adding more like validity to this world. But we won't talk about that right now. It is, in this world, is portrayed as there's people who question whether or not there is an evolutionary connection between dinosaurs and birds. Grant lays it out so well, though, just with the Velociraptor skeleton of like, okay, it's kind of hard to argue. My only thing that I don't like, and I would expect better from a dinosaur expert, with the word raptor, yes, it does mean bird of prey, but in the dinosaur sense, it means thief. Velociraptor means quick thief. Oviraptor means egg thief. Like, it's not fast bird of prey. That's more of a, I don't know why it means both those things, but in the dinosaur sense, it's referring to something else.
Perhaps the original meaning, even when it became the bird's title, was thief as well.
Yeah, it's probably something they applied to the birds because they're hunters. Like, but still, that moment, the intro to Grant, the intro to Ellie, and the traumatizing of that child, A+. Love all that. That's fantastic. And then we get our intro to John Hammond, Mr. Hammond, and I can't help but love him. I
agree.
I know he's like kind of a problem, and it's definitely worse in the book. I'm not going to spoil anything because you're going to read the book, but we already talked about how like a lot of the characters are different. I think they do really well in this movie illustrating that he is coming from a genuine place. I love the conversation over ice cream between him and Ellie, and just the sincereness and what he wanted to do. I'm fully invested in his vision. I get it and I love it and I feel it.
Yeah, I mean the whole like flea circus bit, and like even in the dinner they had earlier where the lawyer's talking about, how much a ticket's going to cost, and he's like, no, we want this to be accessible. We want the kids to come see it. Like the character John Hammond in the film, at least, is incredibly sympathetic. Sure, it may be his total lack of regard for safety concerns that causes the problems ultimately, but really, I mean, let's not forget, what's his name, Dennis?
Right. Like
the reason he was able to get through so many of those things is because it sounds like John Hammond wasn't really fully considering or taking all considerations that he should for safety, right? But it does take a saboteur in order for everything to go wrong.
Yeah.
And I think they actually perfectly kind of set up John Hammond's character in the first scene. We really see him interacting with our two doctors, Sadler and Grant. Sadler and Grant walk in dirty, covered in dust because they've been out doing the work, right? They walk in, a man is opened their champagne, he's dressed in all white, he's in their space, inviting them like he's the host, right? He tells the way he has this conversation with them, he's so confident that he's going to get his way. He doesn't get nervous once when they start pushing back on him. it's very clear in this conversation that he has a distaste of security procedures, right? But it's not marking him as sort of totally reckless, although that is true. It's more he's a dreamer and he wants to make his dream happen, and he's finding all these little things in the way of his dream problematic, and so he wants to hand wave them away. And he is used to throwing money at problems, so when he's like, you guys come check out my really cool park, I get to show off my park and I get to fund your digs for the next 3 years. And they're like, yeah, we're gonna do that.
Yeah.
And it establishes how well, like, it establishes so much about the character. The fact that he's generally positive, the fact that you do kind of want to like him, the fact that he's disregarding safety, the fact that he is used to getting his way.
Yes.
So much of it is packed into that scene. It's really good in terms of establishing character.
I think there's very much a way to interpret his intro as he's quite a dick. Like he's in their space, he's disregarding the dig, he's straight up bribing them, he's getting into their champagne, but he's so friendly. It's very disarming. Like, because he does come across as a genuinely nice guy, but he's so rich he just doesn't care about anything. It is interesting.
He's not considerate, but he's rich enough and comfortable enough with that money to cover up any disrespect he might end up causing.
Right.
Like
it almost comes across as
champagne,
recompense,
right?
in a way. Like he's
yeah.
And then they also they continue to establish that when we meet Ian, and Ian. Well, I love Ian Malcolm. He's great, and he is technically right, but in the movie, Ian ends up being more right because of human error and not so much nature. A little bit of both. It's, again, slightly leaning one way in the book, whereas in this, if you remove Dennis, in many ways nothing really goes as wrong as
right.
But anyway, with Ian being there and being himself and just kind of like hitting on Dr. Sattler, it gives Hammond more credibility when he's like, I went out and got scientists, Gennaro, and you brought this fucker. Like, what is this? This isn't a game, sir. You wanted an inspection and I got your inspectors. Like, come on now, come to play. So
I also noticed, and I can't tell if this is intentional or not, because it feels super intentional, but it also, well, okay, let's put it this way. Malcolm is in all black, and Hammond it is in all white.
Oh, yeah.
And I can tell from what I know about the book that they are meant to be the two opposing forces, really. And they are in this film a little bit too. Out of all the characters, those are the two that butt heads the most often.
Yep.
And their energies are quite different. Both of them are pretty disarming, but if one is more like annoying than the other, it's Malcolm. Even though he's right all the time, the fact that he's so kind of like
he's cocky.
Certain
he's kind of an ass.
So it's interesting that they do have this kind of dichotomy or contrast set up between the two of them, even with their costumes. But I don't feel like the film spends a lot of time on it, if we're being honest, because they're not in scenes together a lot of the time. And when they are in scenes together, more often than not, they are cooperating, largely because of the situation they're in.
It's definitely it's definitely opposing viewpoints, but it's also, I think, just every character has kind of been given a color, and I don't think it's super symbolic. I think it's just consistent with, I don't know, maybe for the most part, fun. Like Alan is wearing blue with a red accent with the bandana, the handkerchief, and then Sattler is wearing red with a blue accent with the undershirt. Muldoon is in khaki shorts and shirt, he's tan, and Gennaro is wearing gray. So we have black, white, gray, blue, red, and then the kids are kind of, in a combination of blue and red, because Lex has like a purplish shirt with flower designs or swirly shapes, and Tim is in like the jean coat with the red stripes. Like, it's just there's kind of a consistent fun, everyone gets a color, except kind of for Wu, Nedry, and Mr. Arnold, but they're kind of over there doing other things. But yeah, no, it's definitely intentional. Like, it's also because it's a Spielberg movie, most things are definitely going to be intentional. Like, it's
true.
It's just there. It's kind of woven in.
He does put a lot of effort into his films, and it's interesting because a lot of again, I've watched some of like the special features and stuff like that, and apparently a lot of the creativity and ingenuity with the special effects and stuff they had to do in this film was kind of forced by him as a director. He didn't necessarily like make everyone's lives miserable, or that wasn't really even his goal. It was just like he's like, I understand that special effects don't want you to move the camera. I will be moving the camera, and you need to figure out how to put the dinosaur in the moving camera space. Sorry. And that's honestly what makes it so good, is the fact that we are getting these active moving shots with things that honestly hold up pretty well.
Oh, still, yes.
All things considered.
It's without this movie, we don't have Avatar. We don't have the latest Planet of the Apes. We don't have the MCU as it is. We don't have most of anything. Like, this is where CGI finally, truly, really got its footing. It all started with that fun test of the Gallimimus skeletons. I don't know if you saw that in the behind the scenes or not.
Did.
Yes, I love that story. I love that we're here. And then, for those who didn't watch the behind the scenes, I love that the conversation. So they were gonna do the claymation, like the bugs in Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, and they had already tested a lot of it, and then they did CGI, and the claymation guys were like, I guess we're out of the job. Don't you mean extinct, someone said, which is fun that they put that in the movie. But I really love how they ended up making robot puppet things for the claymation guys to do the movements for that were translated into the computer. Brilliant. Amazing.
Yeah, I actually was
awesome
floored
way to
at
include
that
that. Yeah,
part. Because,
that's amazing.
I mean, they created hands-on visual programming. That's crazy.
That's amazing.
Why isn't that still a thing? I mean, I assume there are genuine reasons, but it feels like that could be the basis for a really fun toy. And we're just ignoring that?
Maybe it was back in the 90s and it didn't catch on. Who knows?
Maybe personal computers weren't enough of a thing. But now, like, you know, kids would go crazy for a toy they could like move, and then it plays a video of that toy on their screens.
Yeah.
We're missing $1 million here, guys.
Maybe.
Put me on Shark Tank. I don't know.
Yeah, I love how they did all that. That's great. I do think some of it definitely looks a little dated now, especially just with like modern screens. The Brachiosaurus, when you really look at it, it's a little rough. Just a little, not a lot, just a little. That's going to happen, you know, as time goes on. But as a whole, it does hold up really well. And the combination of practical and CGI is amazing.
Yeah. I think, honestly, the practical effects stand out really well in the film, too. Like, every time they go to that Triceratops, I'm like, I can see, like, some of the falsities in the way that it breathes, right? But it's so tactile. Yes. You can touch it, and you can believe the sound of it breathing, and when it's sick and Sattler's like looking for what the problem is and she's trying to actively diagnose it, you're like engaged because you're like, this living thing is like hurt and we need to figure out what's wrong. Like, all of that is super cool, and it's because of how much I believe they can reach out and actually interact with a living dinosaur, because they can actually reach out and interact with a puppet of what would be a living dinosaur. I love it.
Yeah,
I love it.
It's great. It's all great. So suffice to say, the special effects are great. Love all that. I want to talk real quick about the first real dinosaur scene, the Brachiosaurus. I'm always in that moment every single time. No matter how many times I see this movie, I'm in that moment. I'm in the awe. I'm in the shock. I'm in the excitement. Brachiosaurus is one of my favorite dinosaurs, top 3. So that's always great. I love it. It's so much fun. And also the score, man. I mean, God damn. The John Williams score is just so good. Like, almost everything he does is good. But like, I love the Jurassic Park theme. And when they play it, when they see the dinosaur for the first time, and I get a little teary when Grant sees. It's fun enough when they react to the Rex. That's incredible. They make that so exciting. But then when Grant sees them, like the Parasaurolophus and the other Brachiosaurs, and he says they're moving in herds, they do move in herds. Because we don't know. We don't know for sure. So this little window into that field that he's never been able to truly have, I love that moment. I love it.
I,
Oh,
no, one of the best parts of this film for me, and this is such a nerdy thing to take away
bring
as the
it.
best part of the
Bring on
film,
the nerd.
but one of my favorite parts is how much fun the paleontologists get to have for the first half of the film. Like, this is every wild dream they've ever had multiplied.
Mm-hmm.
He's reduced to just be like, it's a dinosaur.
It's
Like,
a dinosaur.
sure, he knows more than that. He could give you more details than that, but it's a living, breathing dinosaur. His life study to the whole guessing based off bone structure and the little imprints in the rock, everything that they've poured into trying to learn, and it's living and breathing in front of them. They can watch, they can actually interact with these animals. She can diagnose it. Like, they are so engaged and involved from the moment they figure out what's going on, because this is like studying another planet and then suddenly being able to run around on its surface.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's so, and they stay academic with it. Like, the fact that Grant keeps coming back to the fact that he thinks that they like evolved into birds, and he brings that up every time that he can, is so academic of him. He's sitting there and he's thinking about all the things he can take to his colleagues and rub in their face and be like, I went and I actually saw it.
Mm-hmm.
Prove me wrong. You know, that's so cool. It's a combination of incredible intelligence and academic study and the childlike joy that comes with discovery.
Yes.
And you get both of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just one or the other. You get both of those things in these characters. I love that. I love the cynicism is saved for Malcolm.
Yes.
It's great.
Yes. I really do like all the characters for the most part, because they are consistent. They all have a lot of conviction in one way or another. But I really like that Grant doesn't like kids, but isn't bad with kids.
Yes,
like, I really like that choice, because he doesn't like kids, but then when he's put in a situation where he has to be the dad, he knows how to do it, like, easily. It's not like Madam Web, where he doesn't know how to function around children. Like, he doesn't know how to talk to them. He just doesn't want to. And it's not like Up, in that there could be, very believably, a moment in which this man who doesn't like kids, who's out in this situation, snaps. He's impatient, he's hungry, he's injured, he's tired, and he just snaps like, I didn't ask for any of this, I don't want you here, I'm stuck with you, do what you're told. None of that. As soon as Gennaro's out of the picture and those kids are in danger, he's all business. He's just protecting them as best that he can, and I love it. I'm here for it. I like that aspect of the character. I really, really do, because it just makes him a good guy.
It's one of those things that if they set it up wrong, it would feel either disingenuous or just like, Grant is not a good or a great guy. Like, it's not that everybody has to like kids, but when kids are in danger and you treat them poorly because they're stressed out, that is a character flaw. Sure, maybe you're also stressed out, right? But like, it is the collective responsibility of the adult in the situation to take care of the kids. And the fact that he is able to awkwardly but successfully rise to that, the fact that the kids kind of take to him even before he is going,
that is kind of fun,
right?
They both like him.
I like that. I think that's, and it's written well. It's such a tricky thing, but it's written well. And I think a lot of it is, again, just the film is allowed to be so filled with wonder. It's inherently, they got about as close as they could through filmmaking to bringing dinosaurs to life. And you get to see that sort of magnified, not just in the performances, but in the audiences and things. Like, the characters and the audience are almost going through the same journey. The characters just get to actually, quote unquote, actually do it.
Yeah. It's good
Yeah.
stuff. I do like with Grant his immediate concern when he finds out that they have raptors. Like that
Yeah.
is very interesting to me, and I like that he already knows. Oh well, this isn't good. This
Mhm.
this is really not good. And I like his like only interaction with Muldoon because they immediately kind of click over their
Mhm.
concern over the Raptors, and I kind of wish they would have had more of an adventure together. It works out. Like I'm not trying to change anything about the movie, but I think it'd be cool if they got to, you know, go out in the island. They're both protecting the kids or something because like they just they work really well together. I liked their brief interaction.
No, and it was very much sort of two experts on a subject, but who approach it from very different angles. Like this is like Dr. Grant, the academic, interviewing the zookeeper who keeps track of the animals that he studies, right? So
Mm-hmm.
like they're both experts on the subject, but they have to trade ideas in order to get a fuller picture of what they're working with. So it is a very cool interaction to see them have. And kind of on the note of like these they're not so blinded by the wonder that they have no concerns. I mean, Sattler's point about the plants being poisonous and like they're in public places is a very good one, right? The movie, from a movie perspective or a character perspective, the ability for Sattler to point out plants that are bad to have in public places and then be like, "Hey, John Hammond, you have decorated your public theme park with poison
Mm-hmm.
because you thought it looked pretty,"
Mm-hmm.
is also another great nod toward
Yes.
just the general theme of the thing. Is like
Indeed.
it looks really cool, but it's gonna kill you.
It is a bad
And that's
idea.
yeah, that's good.
Mm-hmm. We're a little all over the place, but like understandable. This movie is fantastic. Just a couple of quick notes before we get into like another, I guess, rant, if you will. I love Mr. DNA. I love the opening of like the Disneyland style video because it's fantastic, believable exposition. It's wonderful. I
Mhm.
love all that. Um, I like the intro to Mr. Henry Wu.
Mhm.
Uh, he might come back. Who knows? We'll see. Um, Interesting little troublemaker. I love Mr. Arnold because how could you not? Uh, Dennis, of course, is a little shit swizzler, just causing all kinds of issues. Um, all the characters are fun in their own ways. We need to talk about this though.
Mhm.
I don't think it's a great idea on your dinosaur tour to have the T-Rex be the second dinosaur that you see on your tour.
Sure.
I think that is, dare I say, a terrible idea. That's just safety be gone. I don't give a shit about that. But like, what do you end with
Mhm.
if the T Rex is the second one? Like, if you start with Dilophosaurus and then immediately go to T Rex and then you end on Gallimimus, that really doesn't matter, does it? No one really cares at this point. It's kind of weird.
I also loved that the dinosaurs didn't really cooperate. Like when
Yes,
you
well,
go
of
to the
course.
zoo, you can't always see all the animals
Mm-hmm.
because animals don't really exist to live in zoos. So dinosaurs, being very large, dangerous animals, would also be hard to catch a good glimpse of if they've got places to hide in their enclosure, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I like that it kind of shows even if the theme park was entirely safe, nature still does not exist for a human show, right? Like it's that the idea that you would be able to just safely, perfectly display dinosaurs is inherently flawed.
Right.
It's awesome. Um, kind of again, same note. The quote: "T Rex doesn't want to be fed; he wants to hunt."
Uh-huh.
I thought that was. I mean, that's generally true, but I thought it was particularly funny because they were talking about just sort of like the genetic tendencies,
Mm-hmm.
predispositions. There we go.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and when they said that, my cat was on my lap,
Oh.
and I just thought that was kind of funny because,
Oh yeah.
sure, domestication is a process, but
Uh-huh.
if we're talking things that like to hunt versus
Uh-huh.
things that like to just have their comforts around
Yeah.
humans.
Uh-huh.
That has changed in the
Monster
past.
is a relative term. To a canary, a cat is a monster. We're just used to being the cat.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that was particularly funny, but that's kind of irrelevant, so I apologize.
Oh, you're good. I think that is fun to think about. And I mean, since we're on it, the T-Rex sequence might be the best one in the whole movie. Like it breaking out, the ripple
Mm-hmm.
effects within the cup of
Mm-hmm.
water, the night vision goggles, all of it. It's terrifying. It's fun. It's wild. Ugh. It's just so
To
good.
your point about saving the T-Rex for the end, apparently it wasn't gonna be at the end. Like they were gonna end with just the raptors. And after doing the T-Rex sequence, they were
Mm-hmm.
like, the T-Rex is kind of the hero of this film. We
Mm-hmm.
can't end without the audience seeing the T-Rex again.
Mm-hmm.
And so they rewrote the end so that the
Mm-hmm.
T-Rex came in and took out the raptors, and that's how
Yeah.
the humans escape.
It's also people are still confused sometimes. I see online like how did the T-Rex get into the building? It's very obvious that building is still under construction and it just walked in. It's the
Yeah.
same way the one raptor came in. It's just a tarp that's covering
Mm-hmm.
that wall. It's very clear how the T-Rex got in. So I don't understand why there's
Also,
still confusion.
does it matter?
Well, see, that's what I see every now and then. Someone asks Spielberg, "How does it get into the building?" And Spielberg said, "It doesn't matter. Like, who cares?" But he clearly made a reason for how it got in. Like, it's obvious how it
Right.
gets in. But yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
love how it comes back out of nowhere and kind of does that. It's
Mm-hmm.
fantastic. It's dramatic. It's terrifying. You don't see it coming. Ugh,
Mm-hmm. It is a
gosh.
little Deus Ex Machina,
Well,
but
sure.
it's so cool that we shall forgive it.
Yeah, it's better than what was almost going to be done because there was like a draft where there was a robot T-Rex in there instead of the fossil T-Rex, and Grant was going to pilot it to fight the T-Rex. That's a little much.
That's horrible.
That's a little
Let's
much.
not do
I'm
that.
really glad they
That
didn't do
messes
that.
up all the
Yeah,
themes. Let's not do
no,
that.
I don't want Mecha Rex. Leave that for Godzilla.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, the sequence where the Rex is destroying the second car with the kids and the eye effect with the light and Malcolm sacrificing himself and the flares. And, oh, love it.
Mhm.
And then I guess technically, people have pointed out that where the second car is thrown into the paddock is not the exact same place that the Rex walks out. There's like a ramp that goes up. Look, I understand. I've seen the drawings. I've seen the schematics of how the paddock looks and all that. They don't make that clear in the movie. That is
Yeah.
that is I would argue the only real massive oversight is how it goes from clearly flat ground where we saw the goat come up where the T-Rex can walk
Mhm.
out to then
A
sheer
drop off.
120-foot drop. Like it's a bit
Yeah.
much. It's a bit much. Just a bit.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I do feel like the drop is a little sensational.
It's
Like you
far.
don't really need it
Yeah.
for the scene. And then the whole like getting Tim, right, the kid,
Tim, yeah, Tim.
out of the car in the tree, like that also feels a little excessive, especially since the way they climb down out of that tree is very much like the Prometheus School for Running.
A little bit,
away
yes.
from
It's the
things.
original
Yeah.
Prometheus school of running away from things.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because like the whole time I'm like, any kid that's climbed a tree knows you can just sort of like
Go to the
shimmy
left.
your way around to the other side of the
Go to the
tree,
right, yeah.
and they're like, we have to climb down underneath the falling car. We have to do it.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
The line at the end, "We're back in the car," is pretty funny.
That is pretty
so
good. We're back in the
I
car.
almost forgive it. Yeah.
Yeah, and we're in full Dr. Grant dad mode at this point as well, which is great.
Yeah.
He's comforting
Yeah.
Lex, he's saving Tim. It's all good stuff.
Mhm. Mhm.
I also am not ashamed to admit I love watching the lawyer get eaten. I think it's fun. It's a little dramatic, but like it's cool. It's great.
Mhm.
Because Gennaro's such a pill.
Yeah.
He's such a dick. Ugh. Anyway.
It's interesting the way that they sort of like build the character is like he's super anti Hammond's plan until he sees the dinosaur, and then he goes, "We're gonna make so much
Right.
money,"
Well, like
and he immediately jumps ship.
on paper, other than
Mhm.
Nedry, Gennaro's the worst guy here.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
just objectively, like, we find out more about Wu as we go into the story. As of right now, he's just a guy out of school who's given this opportunity to do incredible science, and he's like overlooked one massive thing, but otherwise he's just breaking ground. He's the antithesis to Malcolm for sure, more so than Hammond really is, because Wu is the one doing it. Wu is the one,
sure.
violating nature. But
And he
he's not.
fully believes in the control element
Yes, he thinks
too.
that he's controlling nature. He's the one playing God, but like
Mm-hmm.
he's clearly not an asshole.
Mm-hmm.
Gennaro, though, I don't miss him when he's gone. You know what I mean?
Well, and the fact that he abandons the kids
I
is really
know.
like nail in the coffin.
Yeah,
Because if you were going to be a jerk and money grubbing, but you actually took care of the kids at least a little bit,
yeah,
I might have some small space to be like, you suck, but you're not totally awful.
right.
But then, like, to fully abandon the kids. And then the kids, of course, drive the point home with the fact that they're kind of like traumatized by the
Yeah,
fact that
traumatized
you
these
left
poor
them.
kids.
Yeah, I mean, it's all written in the script, so it's not like we were coming up with this distaste for him on our own.
Well, of course,
We're
yeah.
designed to distaste him,
Yes.
just like him. But it's still, it feels good to not like him,
It does.
and then to watch him get eaten, and you're like, and then maybe that's why the T-Rex is a bit of a hero, because even though they're threatening our hero characters, it also eats the one we hate.
Yep.
And leaves the others alive.
And
So
while we're talking about the ones that eat the ones we hate, snap, snap, snap for the Dilophosaurus. What a fun little unsung hero. I love that little thing. It's adorable. It's easily the most inaccurate because of all the things I added to it that don't exist, but it's great. It might be one of the creepiest ones because of the black sticky venom and the huge big beautiful frill. Ugh. And I love the sounds that they have it make. It's so bird-like, as Dr. Grant would point out.
I think it has a weird blend of creepy and cute almost, because it's smaller and it's brightly colored and it has sort of like this follow you home lost puppy kind of vibe at first, and then it becomes pretty threatening, and particularly the way it sort of like the way the puppet, I guess, or the CGI bounces off Dennis's energy. Like, we don't like Dennis. We feel maybe a little bit bad for Dennis, but we don't like him. And this brightly colored little lizard thing is gonna kill him in a funny way. We kind of like it.
Yeah. It's a kind of weird. We don't see the Dilophosaurus again until Dominion. That's the only dinosaur in this movie that we do not see again, except technically in hologram form and world, whatever. But like, I found it so strange that we never see it again. I was so excited when the trailers for Dominion included it. It was like, oh my gosh, it's been 30 years since we've seen the Dilophosaurus. This is so exciting.
Now, it has been a minute since I've rewatched this film, but I kind of forgot Dennis existed.
How?
Like in my mind, Jurassic Park just kind of like
fell apart.
Again, it's been a while since I watched it. I was like, it's a park full of dinosaurs. Of course, something went wrong. Which was kind of the idea, right? But then like Dennis shows up and he's doing all this like hacking stuff, and I'm like, oh yeah, there is a whole like sabotage element that's pretty significant to things. But I think the fact that like he's kind of an Act 1-ish character, and he's definitely in Act 2, but he doesn't make it any further than that. And the thing that he was gonna do, where he was gonna like share the stolen DNA and embryos, gets covered in mud, suggestively not gonna ever be found ever again, right? So like, or maybe to be found at a later date. Ooh. But like the suggestion for the film is this part of the story is over. And so like he exists to cause the problems, but that's kind of all, like that's the whole reason Dennis as a character exists. There is nothing else he does for the story other than cause the significant problem and then die. Which feels like a one-use character is not a normal writing choice. But I
I don't
guess
know.
it
Yeah, I guess
means we get to despise him. So
true. I mean, he's kind of just. I do think there's an interesting thread throughout these movies where the villain, even at its most shallow, has an interesting layer to it. Where,
Mhm.
because of the combination of unpredictability, as Ian would say, villains that don't even have a great deal of malice, it's just greed or I don't know, spite, their action slash inaction results in low level massacres when it's mixed with the environment we're in. And then later, we get to this point where the antagonist is nature, which I find very interesting. We'll talk about that, weeks from now. It's just something that I've really liked about this series. Because, like, Dennis, such a piece of shit, and we love to watch him get eaten. But what is he guilty of? Stealing from another capitalistic, overly bloated business that is already standing on the shoulders of scientists who didn't earn the knowledge for themselves and are doing something
Mhm.
that's really not great. So it's like,
Mhm.
and like I've seen most of Camp Cretaceous, where other businesses like Manticore and I can't remember what the other one, they're all trying to steal stuff from InGen, and like the gut reaction is like, hey, no, other big bad businesses, you leave this big bad business
Not
alone.
this.
Like, because it's like the knee jerk reaction is like when Slugworth and Fickle Grouper is stealing from Willy Wonka, but like InGen isn't Willy Wonka. They aren't the good
Mhm.
guys, and I think part of that could be again with how quickly we attach to Hammond. Like, because Hammond is he's our business owner, and he's such a nice guy. He's Santa Claus. So
Mhm.
when the Chicken Man from Toy Story 2 is being mean to Santa Claus, we're pissed. But like, he's not doing anything to hurt people other than to fuck up this business. He's an idiot, and he turns off the
Mhm.
fences, and that was definitely negligent. But he had no intention of hurting anyone. But
Mhm.
he's still the bad guy that kicks this off, where it's fun to watch him get eaten. And then you
Well,
can't even say that the T-Rex is a villain, like you said, because it's just an animal
Mhm.
doing its thing, and you can almost
Mhm.
extend that to the Velociraptors to an extent. They're scarier. But what were you were gonna say
Mhm.
something?
No, I think the film is even maybe slightly aware of this discrepancy because they have Hammond tell Dennis, I don't punish people for their mistakes. I just expect them to pay for them.
Mm-hmm.
But if we're going to point out the person who made the biggest mistake in the film, it's Hammond.
Yep.
So, and
Hypocrite.
also, he he lives his life escaping the consequences of his actions. He doesn't have to live with the consequences because a lot of the times he can just kind of throw money at it. So, and that's already well established by the time we get to John Hammond. And we
Mm-hmm.
also know that he has not taken safety precautions. This guy actively disregards safety precautions because he feels like they're in the way. So if you don't punish people for their mistakes, but you expect them to pay for them, you would think this is coming from a character that is more cautious, more aware of the possibility of making mistakes. But he's not. He's fully blind to his own ability to make mistakes. And so him saying that line, you could say, oh, that feels like a mistake because it's out of character. But no, it's just that John Hammond has no self-awareness.
Mm-hmm.
He's not aware of what he's doing. And so the fact that the script has him say that line almost seems like an intentional point out of the fact that, yeah, Dennis is the guy who's going to cause the problem, sure. But it was probably going to be a problem anyway
Yeah.
because Hammond is not taking the right precautions.
Mm-hmm. See, I'm so excited to continue talking about this though, because I think there's an interesting thread that's consistent through most of the Worlds series, because they kind of illustrate that this can be done right. This is not, like, Malcolm is not necessarily correct in essence. Like, Jurassic World could work if you don't have people fucking it up. If you don't add ridiculously unpredictable things like genetic monsters. I mean, that's for later. That's for later. That's for later.
Mm-hmm.
In
Mm-hmm.
this movie, Where are we at this point? The Brachiosaurus interaction in the tree is great. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
That is lovely
Cute.
and adorable and very fun. The Gallimimus is showing up for a second is cool. I always
Mm-hmm.
forget how huge they are.
Mm.
And then yeah, we kind of get into the raptors from here after we turn the power back on and electrocute this poor child that's already been through hell.
Oh. You know what's really funny? I'm pretty sure he could have gotten through that fence.
He could have.
There
He
are
was small enough.
several gaps in the
He
fence where he could
he
have
could
crawled
have.
through. And so the fact that he's the one that gets
Yeah.
electrocuted, poor kid.
That's honestly the one moment where I was like, come on, Grant. Because if I was the adult in this case, I'd be the last one off the fence. If the kid's slowing
Mm-hmm.
down, I'm with the kid. You know? Like
Mm-hmm.
you stay on the fence until like this is
Mm-hmm.
basic summer camp counselor rules. Like, come on
Mm-hmm.
now.
Mm-hmm.
But he's doing his best. He is. It's all good.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we turn the power back on. Tim is proof of that. And now we're dealing with the Raptors.
Yeah.
How we feel about the Raptors?
I guess they're cool. Um, Definitely deadly. I like that they kind of set up some lore around like one of the Raptors becoming like a pack leader,
Mm-hmm.
and that they cooperate as a deadly group. Kind of gives them like a wolf kind of vibe, so we can pick up on the intelligence and the danger really quickly as an
Mm-hmm.
audience. Um, I like that they're the animal that bests the quote unquote hunter character we have,
Yeah.
game warden character we have with Meldon. And the fact that he's not even like that angry about it. He's just impressed and then he
Clever
dies. You
girl.
know?
Yeah. I
Mm-hmm.
love that he gets taken out the same way Grant describes it to the kid at the beginning of the movie. That's so
Good
good.
point.
Ugh. Did you
I
not?
forgot about that.
Did you never catch that? Oh, that's brilliant. That's like
Yeah.
Chekhov's Velociraptor. It's so good.
um, it is good. Let's see. I like, I don't know. A lot of the chase sequence with Sadler kind of feels a little unbelievable just because how dangerous they make the Raptors look, but the acting's good and the puppets are good. The scene in the kitchen
Scene in
is
the kitchen's top
incredibly
tier.
intense.
Yeah.
Jumping,
Uh-huh.
jumping forward quite a bit there, but yeah, it's. Oh, there was something else I was thinking with the Raptors I wanted to mention, but I can't think of it now, so maybe it'll come to me.
I have like one just minor thing with the Raptors. For me, it's the only real thing about the movie that's aged. In my
Mm,
opinion, I really don't. I do
I
not mean
can
to
see that.
shit on this brilliant, beautiful, wonderful movie where they're killing it with all the special effects, and the kitchen sequence is fantastic. As a child, again, that was like one of my first real experiences with anxiety. It just got me going. It had me shivering. The part with the reflection and the spoons, it's just all of it. It's all brilliant. But I do think that the every film after it really does expand on the Raptors in ways that I really enjoy. And it's
Mhm.
got a little bit of like what I said about Terminator, but not quite, because I did start with this, where like once you see them all, and then you kind of go back, like the seams are a little more present. Just like
Yeah.
when Tim is running to the freezer, and we kind of get like that ground perspective of the raptor landing, and we see its feet moving.
Mhm.
It's so
That
obviously
was
a
good enough for
dude's
me too.
boots. Like, and I really, I truly do not mean to hate. There is no other way to do it. It's just, I think World crushes it with the Raptors. I really
Mhm.
do. I think that Jurassic Park
Yeah.
3 does fantastic with the Raptors, and I really have come to value and enjoy that. And I prefer that. And I also, upon rewatching it, minus the kitchen scene, I find running away from the Rex just way more interesting. I get the
Mhm.
Raptors are meant to be the true antagonists because they're smarter and all that, but I have a little
Mhm.
bit of just a tad of here we go again. Like they've dealt with
Oh,
this monster and then they got away. They dealt with this situation and then they got away. And now everything is working. Oh, actually no it's not. Like they set the
yeah.
Raptors up perfectly. Like it makes perfect sense where it's coming from. It's just I don't love them as much, if that makes sense. Like,
If I'm being honest, the end of the film feels rushed to me.
A little, just a little bit. And it kind of feels like you could add that chicken music, the because like they're swinging on the bones and they're hopping through air vents and then once the Rex comes in, it becomes dramatic and amazing again. So like I feel like skipping ahead just a tad to have the Raptors in the wild, quote unquote, in 2, and to have them having a vendetta against them in 3, and to have them really exploring the depth of their intellect and possible empathy in Jurassic World and in Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. All of this just keeps getting more and more interesting. This feels like, of course, the Velociraptor rough draft, which it is and it should be.
Yeah.
But I don't love it as much because like they nail the Rex and everything after that is just kind of repeating the Rex. If anything, the Rex gets boring as we go and the Raptors get more interesting because they did it perfectly the first time with the Rex, and the Raptors are, we're beginning with them. So I do feel
they establish more around the Raptors that can be developed than they do around the Rex. The Rex is the king because she just shows up and is awesome,
presence.
Right? The Raptors, they're threatening. We don't fully understand them. We know that they're intelligent, and that inherently comes with sort of a bit more cloak and dagger elements, which requires time to develop. And if we're doing a fast creature where we're going to be watching their feet, you got to put the weight on the toes at least a little bit, so it doesn't look like a boot. And and I think that's kind of where we'll get there.
Yeah.
I remember what I wanted to say I don't think it has anything to do with the Raptors necessarily, but when they stumble into the egg,
I was gonna say the same
nest,
thing.
Yeah, I feel like we got to talk about that because not only is it a cool moment where they realize the dinosaurs can procreate and they make the connection to West African frogs, which, quick note, I managed to pay attention this time. They were based in Kenya, which is in West Africa, before they switched to this island. So they were pulling from their natural resources when they were doing this cloning and filling in the genetic code. Anyway, just a really small detail they managed to thoroughly connect throughout all parts of the film. I liked that. But that's cool and fine and interesting and threatening because life does find a way, and it speaks to the fact that the experiment was already out of control even before all the sabotage, right? But then it kind of goes nowhere. Like there's nothing that they do with it.
I do.
In the film.
I don't want to get too far into it because it is, of course, in the book. I kind of wish they either wouldn't have included that or done something different with it, because it's so obvious if you watch all of the movies and just pay attention to like how it works. That's a raptor nest. The footprints are obviously raptor footprints, and Grant probably would have known that and easily picked up on that, and it would have been terrified. And then yes, they do nothing with it. I kind of wish they would have made it maybe more obviously a different kind of dinosaur, so it doesn't feel like they're not doing anything with it, because it's a huge deal in the book when they find that out. It's an incredible discovery, and like the ramifications of that are terrifying. And they do nothing with it.
Say maybe the pack development of the Raptors is due to the fact that they need a family unit. Like they've got young to care for, and that changes the social hierarchy of the Raptors, right? Killing all the killing a lot of your species and building a pack is classic animal procreation behavior. You're getting rid of the threats and you're establishing protection. But I don't know, it feels maybe something at the end about having like young or something, maybe explaining the raptor behavior a little bit at the end, something would have made that feel worthwhile. But just having the nest in there and just having the hatched eggs,
right?
And because we know this, they intended it to be like a raptor nest, like all of that feels really important.
It does, I guess.
And then it just doesn't do anything.
That is also kind of a bit of a legitimate complaint, just a tad, which is, for one, so yeah, it's a raptor nest, which implies there are other raptors on this island. because the raptor fences didn't go down until the end. It's not like they broke out that night and went and laid eggs and they hatched. That implies that there are rogue raptors on the island.
That's a good
But
point.
the other thing
About
is, the T-Rex pushes the car back into the T-Rex paddock. We walk just a little bit and end up in the Brachiosaurus paddock. Maybe the Brachiosaurus wandered through. It's big enough. Sure, fine, whatever. But then we end up in a field with Gallimimus. Then we get to the fence, and it's a big deal to them, implying they haven't been crawling over fences. So they got thrown into one paddock and then ended up in like a safari-style open space dinosaur.
With a T-Rex?
Right.
Question
like,
mark? Question
right.
mark?
So like they don't really illustrate that super well. I get it's not necessarily super relevant. It is to an extent, because all of them are not together. They are all in separate spaces to an extent. Like the T-Rex was not in the same space as the Gallimimus and the Brachiosaurus. So I would have liked a little more clarification on how they were traveling around this park, but whatever. Whatever.
It's the same kind of logic where the doors don't lock on your dinosaur tour vehicles, you know.
I know. What the heck, man? What's an oversight? And the fact that people, not just that, but they could wander into a Triceratops enclosure.
Yeah.
Like, you can't even do that at a zoo with reindeer. Like, you can't just go in. That's crazy.
I agree. It's like you can speak a lot of it to the fact that the park wasn't quite ready yet. They even kind of lampshaded a little bit with like Muldoon being like, "I told you, you need locks on those doors."
True,
but it still feels like a big miss because that's a basic get in a ride 101.
Right.
Your riders can't get out.
Speaking of that, and I guess we're kind of at our time. Last little point. They set up pretty obvious that something's wrong with the Triceratops. They never elaborate on what it is. They do in the book, and they put all the pieces in the movie. And in the book, there's actually like a really cool Ellie and Grant have like a Sherlock Holmes style. They use all of their scientific knowledge. They look around, they pick up all the info, and they realize what it is. It's not a huge spoiler, but I won't mention it if you don't want to know. It's just, why put it in the movie if you weren't at least gonna like maybe explain? It's not that big of a deal at the end of the day. Like you could have included it. It's sorry.
It feels like a dropped thread. Like I totally agree.
Oh no, it does. Yeah. And it also, because they don't elaborate on it, they imply other things by accident. Because the Brachiosaurus has a cold. So when I was younger, I thought they were illustrating that the dinosaurs couldn't exist in this time. They were all sick. They weren't going to make it. That's not at all what the movie is doing. But to have the Triceratops be sick and the Brachiosaurus be sick, it was like, okay, what are you saying here? Are you saying something? Because it looks like you're saying something. It turns out, no, we're not really saying anything. Like, okay, well, ew.
Yeah, what's the point then? I agree. It's 3 makes a pattern, not 2. But they spend so much time trying to diagnose the Triceratops. I mean, it's even the first reason the party splits. And then, like, later, you know, one of our characters gets sneezed on by a sick dinosaur. That's enough emphasis on 2 ill dinosaurs out of the, like, 5 that we meet that, like, personally come up and close and actually interact with. It speaks to something fundamentally is going wrong with the park, but because of how quickly we end the movie, it doesn't really elaborate on those things. Like, if we had more of a concluding kind of epilogue style like end, maybe there would be an opportunity for them to kind of like run down. They're like, okay, so there weren't enough tech security measures in place. Where are all the fences for all these different types of dinosaurs? Why are our dinosaurs getting sick? You know, there are raptor eggs off the property. You know, there's just a lot to sort of go through, and because the end of the film is just they get away and they live, there's a lot of unanswered questions, which is maybe what makes the rest of the franchise so good. There's a lot to work with, but it does kind of feel like this film has a habit of including elements that ultimately don't matter in the end, and not because they're trying to increase realism, just because maybe they're remnants of the plot of the book,
In
and
some ways,
or things
yeah,
that just
yeah,
aren't super important
right.
to the movie.
They are things that are really important to the book and really important to the development of the situations they're in, and it wouldn't hurt the movie to just finish the thread, as you kind of said.
Okay.
Like
Mm-hmm.
they are definitely important things, and they could be important in this movie. It's a little unfortunate that they don't continue to play with it, because they don't really explore those in the coming movies. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
we we figure out how the dinosaurs are breeding, and we realize how that happens, and later on, we kind of either deal with that or other things happen with that, but we never figure out what was wrong with the triceratops. Like it was.
Right.
It's kind of weird that they don't do that. But we're at our time. I could talk about this movie for hours and hours and hours. And there's plenty that was probably unsaid. But suffice to say, I love it. 'Tis a whale. Can't wait for the next one, and the next one, and the next one, and the
It's
next
a
one.
prehistoric whale.
Prehistoric whale. A mosasaurus. Yeah.
Okay.
Come on now.
Nerd.
That'll be my last thing. My nerd moment. It's a little annoying. It was also known at the time that Velociraptor is roughly the size of a chicken. I'm sorry, not chicken, turkey,
Okay.
or the Dilophosaurus in this movie. Whereas a real Dilophosaurus is bigger than the Velociraptors in this movie. Dilophosaurus was the big one. Velociraptor's the little one. There are raptors, though, that are the size of the ones in the movie. Utah Raptor and a few others. Deinonychus is a good one. But Velociraptor just sounds so cool. So we went with that one. All right, on that note, you learned something. Bye, everybody.
I did. Should take notes.